Computer. I think we're recording. Okay. Well,
Awesome.
good evening, dream seekers, and welcome to the fifth edition of the Women Supporting Women series. My name is Marie Nadine Gaston. I'm the founder of this group, and I am so thrilled to welcome you all again to the event that is practically the highlight of the month and one that captures the spirit of the Second Wind Facebook group that I founded 3 years ago, Women Supporting Women. Tonight, we continue to celebrate the industrious women of this community by providing them with a platform that showcases their talents, their passions, their projects, their businesses. We honor their vision for their lives, their spirit, their determination, and willingness to take uncomfortable action and step out of the box and be of service to the community. For some of my guests, this event will prepare them to take the first step in putting themselves out there and running their own show. But not for tonight's guest. She's been running her show for years now. I hope she will inspire and embolden the rest of us to embrace our new chapter, get out of our comfort zone, and boldly shine our light and show the world who we truly are. Not just as mothers, but entrepreneurs, artists, writers, influencers, free spirits, lovers of adventure, and always, always big dreamers. So, this fifth edition brings us to somewhat of an unusual subject, your handwriting and what it says about you. Tonight's presentation is titled Unlock Your Secrets Through Your Handwriting. And we are happy to have Erica Mackey, a retired former spa director, with us tonight. But she joins us tonight on this platform as a certified grapho-analyst through the International Grapho-Analysis Association and has been practicing the science for over 30 years. In her bio, Erica writes that your handwriting is as unique to you as are your fingerprints. It reveals your subconscious as well as your conscious personality traits. Handwriting analysis is rapidly becoming an exciting tool in aiding people to not only gain a better understanding of others, but also of themselves. So Erica joined the Second Win Facebook group back in April, I think, of 2024. And her awesome dream then was to travel, unquote, travel with women my age. And as you know, she had just then become an empty nester. But first, before I introduce Erica, just a few housekeeping rules. Please keep yourselves muted to eliminate any background noise. Please stay for the entire presentation. For those of you who are coming on late, you probably won't hear this, but yeah, stay for the whole presentation. And there'll be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of Erica's presentation. So we will take the questions then. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Erica to the platform.
Thank
Erica?
you very much. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here this evening to help empty nesters discover themselves through their handwriting.
Yes, this is absolutely wonderful. And I wanted to say, Erica, that you've enriched this group with your contributions since joined this group. You've had the most fabulous, post. And I thought it would be nice to just show, you know, some of your fabulous posts. Of course, we're not
Well,
going to read them, but I just wanted people to see how vibrant your posts are. You're the kind of person, that adventurous spirit that I was talking about earlier, that inspires women to reconnect with who they are. And it's just so wonderful to be able to show your beautiful posts and that gown with the flowing in the wind. I mean, what a gorgeous picture, and love to see you capture you with your husband dancing, just living your lives. I think it's so beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for your contribution and the way that you've decided to embrace this new chapter of your life. So I hope you will continue to share your thoughts with us. So first things first, Erica. And I decided to put this picture just to show again how adventurous you are. This will be the picture that I will keep as a background as we do your interview. So, Erica, tell me, first things first, please tell us a little bit about yourself where you're from, what you do, your awesome dream today, and what brought you to Second Wind Facebook group.
Awesome. So, as you said, in 2023, I became an empty nester who is now fully committed to living my life to the fullest. I've spent most of my life here in Canada, but I've also been very grateful for the opportunity to have our family home in Slovenia, where now I escape during the winter months. Professionally, I spent over 2 decades as the dean of an aesthetic academy and as the director of a spa for you. These days, I take small groups, especially women, for wellness journeys across Europe to enjoy the healing power of spa, connection, and self discovery. But my first love has always been handwriting analysis and astrology. I became certified grapho analyst in 1992 and have taught in Winnipeg and Thunder Bay colleges. I've been invited to speak on radio and television podcasts, and my work has been featured in magazines. I'm so excited to share my 30 plus years experience with handwriting analysis with this fabulous group today.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Erica. So, Erica, just going back a little bit to the post that you've had, what had inspired you to write some of the posts that you did in the group?
After I became an empty nester, it actually hit me quite hard, and I was very unexpectedly so. I found myself struggling with a lot of sadness. And I realized that it's a choice. Either I stay stuck in my grief or I shift my perspective. So I began writing posts and to inspire other women in similar places, reminding us all that we did our job with our heart as mothers. And now it is time to enjoy life to our fullest.
Yes, absolutely. So, when you first joined the group, you did say that you wanted to travel with women your age. So, how has that dream evolved?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started with my 50th birthday. I rented a bus in Munich, Germany, and we took a nice little tour. And actually, I was super excited how well it went and how powerful it was. So then I decided at that moment in time in Sarajevo, in a beautiful thermal spa, I was in a Roman bath, and I said, when I retire, I'm going to take groups. So we began the journey. Once I now volunteer. It's not a business. I volunteer putting these women focus groups to trips together, and we do Christmas market tour, a luxury spa-cation, and even an extreme makeover. And since launching this little project, I have a spa page called spacuisineexploration.com, and I thoroughly enjoy doing that and sharing with women.
Wow, wonderful. So, in one of your posts, you talked about, going on a forest healing adventure. I think that was the
Mhm.
last post that you did. And in fact,
Yes.
that's the reason I reached out to you in the first place, is I thought it was so interesting that you would do that. So, tell us a little bit about that. And are you inviting other people to join you?
Absolutely. So the healing forest in the Carinthian is basically around our home in the Carinthian, which is part of Austria and part of Slovenia. That's called the Carinthian area. And yeah, we gather together for 1 week of wonderful forest bathing, mushroom hunting, hunting. We don't hunt mushroom foraging, forest therapy, meadow meditation. We have herbal sacks that we make. So we have a wonderful plethora of exciting activities that we're going to do that week in September the 24th to October the 1st.
Oh, that sounds perfect. That's so
Mm.
beautiful. So let me tell you though, before we go on, there was a little tidbit fact that you mentioned while in our conversations. You said that you don't have a cell phone anymore, Erica, which is highly unusual these days. So tell me why is that? Mhm.
Yes, you know what? When I was operating a spa, I had 5 phone lines I was chasing. And just for freedom, I decided when I retired, I don't need a cell phone. I'm still make myself extremely accessible through my tablet, but I don't carry a phone with me. I don't even have a phone. So it's just been freedom.
Yeah, I get that because I remember when the cell phones first came out, I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed with cell phones because I felt that I couldn't protect my peace anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
anywhere I was, people were able to find me. That's very annoying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, 20
Yeah.
plus, 30 plus years later, whatever. But so tell us a little bit about how you became interested in grapho analysis, why you embraced it, and how that experience has impacted your life, Erica?
Absolutely. So when I came to Canada, I was born in Canada, but when I came back to Canada when I was 10 years old, I was not welcomed by the community. I was bullied, basically, by my peers, and so that's when I discovered astrology, and I learned about my sun sign, and I thought, "Oh, that makes me a great person." And so then, or how I felt, and then it was just basically a little tap on the shoulder that you're on the right path.
Mhm.
And then when I was 18, there was a handwriting analysis course offered at the Confederation College. I took it, became enthralled. It's something that's utilized in courts. It's something that's scientifically based. And that's when I decided to take that little 8-week course. And then 2 years later, became certified myself as a grapho-analyst. And then I started teaching. So 1992, I started teaching. 1989, I discovered it.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
That's nice. So how
Yeah.
how has it impacted your life?
Absolutely. When I did take handwriting analysis, you can do what's called graphotherapy, and by changing the stroke formation in your writing, it actually changes your personality. So I had a lot of low self-esteem, so I changed my signature to give myself self-reliance and self-acceptance. I made it an upward slant, which makes it positively based. But by choosing to put that on my signature, I made myself more positive. I made it larger. So now I have no problem speaking in front of hundreds of people. So by
Wow.
changing my handwriting, I was able to change my personality.
Oh yeah, that sounds perfect because I understand why you took the signature because the
Yes,
signature represents who you are. So yeah,
exactly.
makes a lot of sense. So what would
Exactly.
you say were the biggest challenges in finding your new purpose after becoming an empty nester?
Well, I became an empty nester actually quite a bit earlier than I anticipated, but also with COVID, my businesses were closed for 365 days here in Canada over a 3 years period. So I just decided, you know what, we've done okay. So I just decided to close the business and embrace being an empty nester. And I took my three most powerful words of what resonates with me. One is spa, the other one is women wellness, and the third is travel. So I put those things together in a jar, and I came up with this spacations ideas.
Sounds so much fun. Okay. So, what did you learn about yourself in the process of finding this new purpose and putting yourself out there?
Yeah, it is basically mind over matter, right? You must fill your mind with a solution, not fears. Find your tribe. Okay. And that's why I joined this group and other groups such as that. Joining uplifting communities like this one, and above all, live your life to the fullest. That's what I have learned.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So now we start the second part of the event where
Mhm.
you will do your presentation. So I will stop my share so
Okay.
you can start yours.
Okay. And I'll start my
See?
share, send request. Yeah.
I'm allowing you. There you go.
Okay. Righty. Okay. Are we on? Not yet. Are we
Wait,
shared?
not yet.
Okay. I'll try again. There we go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we go like this.
There we go. If you could make it bigger
Yeah. I'm just trying to make it bigger here. Handwriting analysis. Here it is. Okay. And so we go to slideshow
from the beginning.
from the beginning. There we go.
All right.
Alrighty. Okay, awesome. So handwriting analysis, the journey begins. We've already done a
Actually,
wonderful
yeah, so
introduction.
I'm
So
sorry, Erica. It didn't click.
yes.
The from the beginning didn't it
Oh,
didn't
okay.
yeah, click it again. There, click it again. I'm sorry.
No problem. Here we go.
Click it again so that it becomes bigger. Because right now it's small.
It's on my full screen. So let's just take a peek
Oh,
here.
okay. All
It's
right.
my
That's
full screen here. No
okay.
problem. I will.
Well, that's all right because it doesn't really show as a whole screen here, but we'll go through it. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
it's showing my full screen. Oh,
mhm.
sorry about that. So yeah, so we've already done an introduction. So are you able to see the two little samples at the bottom with who is lying? So a little test to start off with.
No, I'm just seeing the front page, the cover of your
Okay,
presentation.
okay, no problem. I will go back here. Okay. That one? Can you see now handwriting analysis?
No, yeah, I see the cover. It said handwriting analysis, your journey begins.
Yeah, but that's not okay. So we'll just slideshow again. Let's take a peek here from the beginning there.
Mhm.
Does that show it now for you?
No, no, I
No
don't.
way.
Well, you know what? Let me try to project it on my end, and then you'll
Okay.
just tell me click, 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 and I'll click, click, click.
Okay.
You have to.
Sounds perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so stop share, stop your share.
Yep.
Okay, so let me share me. Let me look for it. Let me see. Let's share. Let me, goodness. I have the, okay. Is that your thing? Oh, are you still sharing, Erica?
I'm trying to get off of the sharing here.
Okay. Yeah, please. Just say stop sharing at the bottom.
Yes, I'm looking to get into the Zoom here.
Okay.
Screen sharing. Here I go. Okay. Share. Stop share. Okay.
There you go. Okay, so now
Mm.
let me look for it. Okay, presentation. Doop, doop, doop. Where is it?
Oh, there's this one here. Yeah. Yeah, right here. Handwriting analysis presentation. Right under Erica slides. Yep.
Oh, okay. There we go. And then slideshow. There we go. Do you see the
Okay.
whole screen?
All I have is fifth edition meeting Erica Mackey. I still have all your,
Okay, you don't see the presentation.
nope.
Okay. What do you see now?
I still see just your page.
Okay,
Like
so
fifth.
we're having technical issues tonight.
Yeah.
Forgive
Yeah.
us. That is so weird. What is going on?
I don't know.
This is so weird. Okay.
There we go.
Do you
Now
see
I
it
see.
now?
Now I do. Who is lying? Introduction. All righty.
Okay. Okay, so we're
Okay.
starting from the top. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Just tell
Not
me
a
click,
problem.
click, click next, and I'll go next. There we go.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to go past the introduction. We've already had a wonderful introduction by yourself.
Very
So
good.
here's a little test for us. So for instance, we all have an idea when we take a look at someone's handwriting. It's an instant, kind of like when we're talking to someone in person and we see their face. You're able to detect, even though you're not a certified grapho-analyst or a graphologist, you subconsciously know the answer. So who is lying? I am 21 years old in the A spot, or I am 21 years old on the right B spot. So, what would your guess be?
Well, I would say the lying might be the left one because of the
That
hesitation.
absolutely, that is absolutely correct. Because what you notice is right in between the M and the 21, there's a larger space. And anytime your subconscious is fighting with your conscious, your hand doesn't stop. So it actually brings us to an important point. You can go to the next slide there, please. Alrighty. So if we take a look at who's a better receptionist, A or B?
Hmm. Who's a better receptionist?
Hmm.
I don't know. Let's say the one to the right,
The one to the right.
the bigger
Alrighty. This is
Rebecca.
very good. This is actually a little bit of a trick question because the receptionist that you have and the personality traits your front end customer care um, person or customer care, you would want different types of personalities. So, for instance, if you're looking for jovial, out there, highly spoken, such as let's say when you're buying a car, or let's say when you are when you are at a hair salon, you would want Rebecca number two because she's more vibrant. She's takes up some more space. If we take a look at the little happy face at the top of Rebecca, you can see that that actually indicates a little bit of a sense of
Like this?
humor. That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
And they both are going upward. But so for instance, if I had a collection agency, right, just someone who wants to get straight to the point and just, tell me exactly what needs to be done, I would want a front end person to be like Rebecca number one. She's
Okay.
straight up and down. She doesn't waste my time. She just gets to the point, and she would get to the client's point too. So she would be a better receptionist, better person for your front end staff for
Mhm.
a job that needs to get things done very quickly, immediately, and no waste no time. Whereas the opposite, Rebecca, on the other side, I don't mean waste your time, but engages in you and makes herself a presence.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Mhm.
Okay, and who wants a divorce? Mrs. Janet Clark or Mrs. Janet Clark?
Oh, I think this one's kind of easy. I think it's the
Yes,
right one. The one
yes,
that has where she put a bar practically
yes.
on her last name, her husband's
Absolutely.
last name. Oh, that's so mean. Yes.
Absolutely. It's not mean. It's just what she's saying is mean. It just means she's not resonating and she's not
Right.
putting energy into that part of her personality. So, for
Yeah.
instance, even let's say if it was her maiden name, let's say, all it's
Mhm.
saying is not that she's saying she dislikes her family, it's just saying she no longer identifies with that part of her family. It's not negative. And that's an important thing to note. In handwriting analysis, nothing is negative. It's when you start taking the characteristics and traits together that makes it so. All righty. Next slide, please. Okay. Oh, we can go through those ones. Yeah,
Okay.
there's about four or five. Yeah, and yep,
Okay.
keep going,
That's wow.
keep going.
Is that in your native language?
Yes, that is in my native language. I had a session in Slovenia.
Okay. All
And
right.
that actually brings up an important point. But with handwriting analysis, actually is brain writing. So when we take a look at handwriting, we don't necessarily look at what is written, it's how it's
Mhm.
written. It's
Okay.
brain writing. It's a picture of your feeling and that moment of that time in your life. So for instance, after people have had amputations or an injury or a vascular problem with their primary mode of writing. And then once they ascertained an opposite, like if I'm right-handed, so if I would start using my left hand, my brain would try to make the stroke formations identical to the way it was with my primary
Okay.
writing sample, right? Or writing technique. So I'm not going to start putting hearts all over everything. I'm not going to start getting angular. So an important point is to note that it is brain writing because the brain has to send a message to the hand to dictate how it's going to function, what type of pressure it's going to give, the slants. So that's a very important point is it is brain writing and how you feel at that moment in time.
Okay. Next.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Alrighty. So what first thing we would take a look at is pressure. So for instance, uh, you know, um, when your brain actually asks your hand to do what it needs to do, it does so with intensity. So if someone has light pressure or dark pressure or medium pressure, what that dictates to us, it's the first thing we look at is how dark do they write. And I'm not by darkness, I mean by pressure. So for instance, a marker, it's only going to be the size of the marker, it's not going to be wider. But if you take a look with a pen or pencil, you can actually see the various differences in the light or dark pressures. So as a handwriting analyst, we take a look at when the pressure changes. So if someone is a light pressure writer, they're passive, they're gentile, they're a follower. They just let the water roll off their back like a duck, like water in a duck. I'm not sure that colloquialism.
Mhm.
And then also, if it's and even they're worried or nervous, yes, that's correct. You're showing us
Yeah,
the
that was the
first one.
first
So
one. Right.
that's correct. So if someone's worried or nervous, you can see that they're definitely different in the depth. Now, if you take a look at if when I first look at the writing. I see sick is darker, and I know that no is darker, right?
Hmm.
So sick to them, they're worried about being sick because that's where their pressure came in. Alrighty. And then if we take a look at the dark writing, which is on the other side there, it's
Right.
more of a assertive, aggressive, energetic, alert. So they're putting more pressure in any of the 245 individualistic traits and stroke formations that we can see in the handwriting, that we take a look and add it to, are they light writer or are they dark writer or uneven? So that's the first thing. What we take a look at is the light, evenness, and the darkness of their writing.
Okay.
Alrighty, next one, please.
Hmm.
Aha. And then the other thing that we take a look at that's extremely important is the slant. Alrighty. So if I like to describe this as if I was ready for a race. If I'm slanted backwards, right? If I'm way over here, I'm not very engaged, right, with the fact of wanting to be at a Zoom meeting, right? So I'm sitting away and I'm disengaged. So any writing that is backwards is disengaged from the room or disengaged from what they're saying, disengaged in the scenario that's around them. So if it is reclined or left, they repress their real emotions because they just aren't wanting to show you anything. It's basically cross their arm and step back, right? They go to the past often, as well as they have a lot of fears. If
Okay.
the writing is upright, right? And I want to say that everything in handwriting analysis, it just needs to be evaluated. There's nothing negative and nothing positive. Dark writers, they're artists, they're emotional, they're deep. Whereas the benefit of being a light writer, they're not deep. They can go through life not being impacted, not holding grudges, and not, but also they wouldn't have the capability of that depth of artistic and sensuousness that a dark person, a person with dark writing would be able to show us, right? So if
Yeah.
someone is upright with their writing, they suppress real emotion. It's definitely their head over their heart. They know that right now it's not good for them to cry, or it's not good for them to scream. They basically just go into little robot mode and are able to get the situation at hand done. And they're here and now in the present. They'll worry about their emotions after. And if someone is inclined or right, which about 60-70% of most of North Americans, right? Different cultures have different slants. They're more reactive. They show their real emotions more. They are looking to the future, and they're very expressive. So now let's take a little sort of a little test on what you can do to put those two things together. So if you were looking for, let's say, a police officer, or if you were looking for someone to come to your aid in a stressful situation, who would you like to be brought to your scenario? Person
Oh,
one, person two, or person three?
well, I wouldn't want person three because that's
Yeah,
just too much.
that's right. Correct. Absolutely. Yeah,
Perhaps, someone who thinks with their head more
that's right.
than their heart. That
Exactly.
would be like the middle one, maybe.
Exactly. That's exactly who I would want as well.
Oh,
Now we're going to add because when the handwriting is straight up and down, they're thinking logically and they're not using their heart. So if I'm in a very stressful situation and they're coming to help me, I need them to be at the top of game without their triggers and without their
exactly.
emotions getting into it. So now let's go back to, we don't have to go back to the slide, but let's just go back in our thought to the depth. So we're going to have someone who's upright. Do you want them to have light writing, or do you want them to have heavy writing or medium writing?
Hmm. Let me see what the dark, let me go
Yeah,
back.
you
Because I
can go back.
understood the
You can
dark
go
writing,
back. Yeah,
aggressive,
of course.
energetic, alert. Well,
Yeah,
somebody who's alert would be nice.
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. But I would actually prefer them to be light, right?
Ah,
Because
really?
they're not taking it intensely, right? They're not
Ah,
taking, right, because think about it. If someone is intensely and heavy and expressing, they're feeling what you're feeling. You don't want that,
oh
right?
yeah, I
You
got it.
want someone, right? You want someone who's lighthearted, who's like, okay, you know what? Like, I want someone joking with me in the sense of, oh, honey, we know we're just going to lift you and get you out of the situation or cut you out of the car, whatever. I prefer someone that's taking it a lot more lightly than actually feeling and expressing the magnitude of the situation that I would be in. So I
Right.
would prefer a a upright person with a light handwriting in that situation, right? But
So
if I
that's
was
how,
wanting,
sorry, I was
oh,
gonna say, so
no,
that's really how people who are recruiting
yes,
people that,
absolutely.
so that's what they
Handwriting
do. Yeah. Okay.
Handwriting analysis is actually utilized in recruiting. I actually worked for a company in Toronto for years, helping with executives, which executives, and but also, for instance, when we get to the zones, which is where we are right now, you would think the upper zone is what you'd think zones of writing is where you put most of your time. So, for instance, in the upper zone, it's letters such as L's, F's, T's, H's, right?
Mm,
That dictates of what you have in your head. So, any strokes that go up there, that's where you're able to see the person's willpower. How do they dream? Do they dream? Do they think outside the box, right?
mhm.
So then the second one that we have here is the middle heart, or the middle one, which is basically where the heart is. So it's basically the ego. It talks about your daily life, your emotions, your thoughts. How do I feel right now, here and there? And if we take a look at the handwriting sample on that, it actually looks like a teenage girl's writing. Now, it is very important to note, though, that handwriting analysis cannot dictate age. It cannot figure out your age. It cannot figure out your race or anything like that. So, female, male, it cannot. It only talks about it only talks about the personality of this individual. This could very easily be a man in his 50, not easily, sorry. It could be written by a man in his 50. It just means that he's more connected with his here and now personality, but that doesn't mean it's positive or negative, right? And then the lower part of the writing, which is the J's, the Y's, the P's, right? You can take a look at how far down it goes, and that engages your physical world. So this person right here, I can tell with the P's and the Y's that they like to
Okay.
work by themselves. Yes, because they like to work by themselves because it's a line. They don't have a loop around it. I can tell that they're very energetic and work for a really long time on a project physically. Like they move furniture around, and they probably would move it around very similar to things because it's slanted towards the past. So they would physically move furniture and or have people in their life from the past. So if I was looking for an executive, right?
Mhm.
Now, if I wanted someone to be a yes man, I would take the middle person. I mean, that would be an extreme, but basically that would be the board of governors telling the executive what they're going to do, and then they just have to deal with the person wanting just nurture the soul for the here and now. If I was looking for a CEO or an executive president or director, I would go for someone in the upper zone because that way they would bring me to new places and new ideas. This person right here is brilliant, right? Because they have one, two, three times. They think three times larger than what's here and now. So then that's who I would choose for that position, right? And if I wanted a manager to get down with the troops and just be one of them and just get the job done, like something like, let's say, Red Cross or one of those sort of organizations, I would want someone with their feet on the ground, which would be someone I would want to have that determination, which is in the third sample right there.
Okay.
Excellent. All righty. Okay, handwriting is an imprint of oneself on the page. So, like I said, it's a picture of that moment in time.
Hmm.
Yeah. All righty. So the connective stroke's the next thing that we really take a look at. How do we connect? So for instance, the first one, that's called the garland stroke. So you can feel it's free and easygoing and carefree, and it's almost like kumbaya. You can just see people holding themselves together with their hands, just going kumbaya, right? So that's a very comfortable. They'll go out of their way to make you feel comfortable in a group, right? The
Okay.
second one is an arcade, right? So you can see the protective stroke on top of it.
Yeah,
So
like up
so
here.
what it is, it's basically almost like they're putting an umbrella over themselves. They're protecting the situation. So that would be like a mama bear or someone who's really worried about something. There's a little reverse loop. I'm assuming the word is Jane. There's a little reverse loop, and that reverse loop is absolutely what's called worry. So you're just protecting yourself.
Here.
The
Oh,
third one is, that's correct. Yeah. The third one is angles. So anytime you see someone who has very aggressive and pointed movements going up and down, that person is very aggressive. They change their mind. You can just see the police in a force holding hands in a very straight arm sort of upward, ready to fight kind of thing. So that's
yeah.
basically that. And
Okay.
then you take a look at threads in writing. So thread doesn't mean anything bad. I personally have the threads. That's because I have so much on my mind and I have so many sort of places and people and things that I want to do that my brain is not functioning in a slow sort of fashion. It's in a very fast, quick fashion. So for instance, my hand just can't keep up with my brain is what it's basically saying. As you would often see in a medical doctor would you'd also see that sort of stroke formation.
Okay.
Excellent. If you wanted to go to the next one. Okay. Spaces between the words. So the spaces between the words should be basically one letter wide. So if you take a look at an O and put that O right in the middle. So the first one is a little bit cramped, right?
Mhm.
But the spacing is very generous. So what that says to me is the person doesn't give themselves much extra time, money, or energy. But with the spaces, I know that they would give me a little bit more than they give themselves, right? So
Mhm.
cramped writers, they crab spaces, they don't give themselves, oh yeah, like that bottom one, right? That person will not give themselves personal space. So for instance, no extra time to get to work. They would be they don't like you wasting their time at work. It's just, just get her done. Just get straight to the point and get her done.
Always on the
Whereas
run, it seems.
that's right. Well, yeah, they would, well, the thing is not necessarily because they're not giving them any, they're not like if you would take person number one and person number, let's say three,
Mhm.
right? The person number one would not get sidetracked if they want a cup of coffee when they go to work. They wouldn't get side caught. Well, first of all, they probably wouldn't spend too much money on coffee going to work. They'd have it with, but they can't because they've given themselves no extra time. They are not preparing themselves for things such as red lights or
Huh.
people crossing the street. So they've given themselves no extra time. So they're not necessarily would be on time for work. The
I got.
second one that we have in the middle there is
Mhm.
quite extreme. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, five spaces between, like it was one space, but five letters could fit in there. So this person, their writing is squeezed, but so they don't give to themselves, but they definitely are generous almost to a fault. And people in the office would most certainly go to this person because they just give they give everything, they give the shirt off their back
Okay.
for them. Alrighty, and then we have wide letters. So wide letters, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, and wide spaces, basically, they're socially isolated, different. Wide spaces, they're paranoid and distant. So they're not engaging in the here and now themselves, right? So they just kind of keep themselves often away from scenarios. Yeah,
Wow.
excellent.
Gosh,
Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah,
it
next
is.
one.
My goodness.
So putting it all together, we can go to the next one. Wonderful. All righty. So this is so how can we tell if someone is an extrovert or an introvert? Again, it's really important knowing what type of people you want at your dinner party. Or for instance, if you're in a rush and you want to get in and out of a meeting, right? So those sort of things are really important to know whether is a person is an introvert or an extrovert. So for instance, if someone has very big writing, like that was one thing that I changed. My signature used to be teeny weeny itty bitty because I just wanted to hide. Then once I wanted to become a handwriting analyst, I changed it big, bold. I practiced my signature to hold a room full of people. I also needed to hold a piece of paper. So that's what I did. So if your handwriting is if your signature is larger than your handwriting, then you absolutely like to take up space. So whereas in opposite, if you don't want to take up space, right, you would have smaller writing, and your signature would be basically even smaller than your writing is, right? So it's really important to discuss signatures because the signature is the mask you wear for people. So in general, though, if you want to have a person who's expressive and out there and take up room and if I wanted to have a salesperson who gets most of their leads from conferences, I would absolutely want someone with big, bold handwriting because they will be noticed and they will be remembered at a conference. Whereas if I'm looking to fill a nurse's position in a hospital or, someone who is of importance, but not filled with ego or needing to take space, I would take someone with a smaller writing.
Okay.
Mhm. Excellent. Yeah. Next one, please. Are you introverted or extroverted? Alrighty. So earlier was the expressiveness and the openness. Now we're looking into introversion. So someone who has small letters, retracing of loops, simple style, reclined, and light pressure. That gives you the introversion. Obviously, light pressure, not intensity. We learned that, right?
Right.
Reclined, going backwards. They're not present. You wouldn't see them. They're not introverted. If they have a simple style, again, like who was it that has a piano on it, or like Oprah has it, a massive O,
Right.
right? But then she
The rest,
hides herself in the pra inside, so she's created a bubble. But it's really interesting how she did it. She's definitely made herself very big and powerful, but she's protecting herself in the middle. So yeah, so she actually is an introvert but expressing herself as an extrovert. It's very interesting signature. Alrighty, next one, please. Okay, now let's see your samples. We're not able to do that today, but we can continue. And then now we can go to any questions that people have.
yes, wonderful. I do have a basket of questions for you, but even before
Excellent.
that, so as somebody who's watching the replay of this, Erica, and they say, well, what if I want to get in touch with Erica and learn a little bit more and see, I know that you told us about your vacations, but what if somebody wanted to know about their handwriting though? How would
Right.
what would you offer them? What would be your offer to
Yeah,
them?
absolutely. So I have been, like I said, a certified Grapho-Analyst for over 30 years, and I do offer 1 hour sessions for 100 Canadian dollars. We can
Oh,
do it via Zoom. You just send in your samples ahead of time, and I
yeah.
have an online payment that we can certainly do that with. So it's taken care of. You get my undivided attention and my enthusiasm for this wonderful, wonderful topic.
Yeah, very good.
And what it can help people with is it can help them with relationships. It can help them with, for instance, what are their natural aptitudes of what they can do. Like, let's say in the empty nester, we can sort of come up with something that would be really profound in making their empty nest and their true character come out and live excitedly.
Okay. Wonderful. I do have a calling card for you with some contact information, but I guess I will
Awesome.
post it when I post the
Okay.
replay of this. I will I
Okay.
will
Perfect.
I will post your calling card so that people have a phone number, an email that they can
Awesome.
get in touch with you. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Um,
Awesome.
I do have a basket of questions, Erica.
Yep.
Okay, so
Awesome.
can
We
my
can go back to
handwriting truly reveal my emotions or mood?
absolutely. So, for instance, as we discussed earlier, it's a picture of that moment in time. If you take a look at your handwriting, and for instance, I know, Marie, that you do a lot of journaling. So, if you take a look back, you'll actually see how your handwriting has changed over the years, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even from day to day, your mood is different. Therefore, your handwriting is different. And just put yourself in a place of if you're writing a love letter or a letter to your children filled with love. Obviously, it's going to be that garland, nice and soft, no angles, just going to be very flowing because that's how you're feeling. Now, let's say you have to write a resignation letter that you're not happy with that job anymore, or let's say you have to write a letter to someone who has harmed you in some way. Obviously, you're going to go back to that space. It is going to become more angular, a little bit more. Um, aggressive in that moment in time. So it's really important. I'm going to just share a little story. I remember when I used to work for one of the spas here prior to opening up my own. When I had left, I was actually pregnant at the time, and my boss gave me a little goodbye card, and he put "Dear Erica," blah blah blah. I don't remember what he put in there, but I do remember it was "Dear Erica," and the way how he actually had my name written larger than anything else on the page. So I knew he had great value for me, right? I knew that yeah. So yes, absolutely. It is brain writing, and that is how you can just depict your personality through your handwriting.
Okay. So is a messy handwriting a bad thing?
I have I have terrible writing. Oh my God, my writing is so atrocious. But that doesn't make me a bad person. Actually, I've worked hard on myself and I'm a beautiful human being. But again, I have so much on my mind that even to this day, even though I've dropped retired my school and retired my business, and I've retired, I'm still very active in the community. I'm still very active with my sparkation. So my brain is going fast all the time. So I'm really not putting much thought or energy into what I'm writing. I'm just putting things down to get it down. The same as a doctor, right? They're
Right.
one patient, two patient, three patient, four patient. They just need to document. I mean, now we're blessed with auto dictating, but back in the day, they needed to think fast and get to the next part. So their brain just couldn't keep up with their hand, so I couldn't keep up with how fast their brain was functioning. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
So does my signature mean something different than my regular handwriting? Because
absolutely.
okay, because no, because the reason I asked, when I saw that question is because I don't really have a signature,
Yeah,
Erica. I
yeah,
I sign my name the same way
yeah,
that I write anything else.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
became very conscious of that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
at the end of it, I do a little loopy thing
yeah,
just to feel like, I add a sweet panache to my signature, but it truly is just the way I
yeah,
write.
yeah,
So what
yeah.
does that say about me though?
It says such a beautiful thing. It means that you are showing up and you want people to see your beautiful, authentic self. You're not creating a facade for anybody else. The little loop at the end is just saying, I'm giving myself a little extra energy here. I love who I am and I'm not changing myself for anybody. So it's a beautiful attribute that you're doing for yourself.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So, I think we've talked about it a little bit. Can I change my handwriting to change my personality? Hmm.
Absolutely. That's called graphotherapy. And by changing our writing, it takes approximately 6 months for us to change it so it's part of our natural writing flow. And after 6 months, it's a cognitive therapy and you're able to change your personality. I myself changed two things when I started grapho-analysis. I made my T bars taller. So I would start thinking the T bar itself dictates willpower. So I made it tall. So I brought it into the abstract. Dream bigger, Erica. Dream taller, Erica, right? I changed that. So then now I would never have imagined that little 18-year-old girl even having any self-reliance, and that's not the headspace I was. But I changed that in my signature. And my God, I'm certainly nowhere, I would never call myself vain because that's not it. But I gave myself self-reliance and I gave myself the ability to dream. So I knew where to change my handwriting to do that for me. I love it. Yeah.
Okay. That
Yeah.
sounds
You
fun.
can change your life.
Yeah. So, the next question, I think you addressed it in your presentation, but I'll
Mhm.
ask anyway. So we'll be like
Yes.
just a revision.
Yeah.
So what do big or small letters say about me?
Okay. So if someone, for instance, has a large letter in the middle of in the middle of a word
Right.
that's not supposed to be there, that just shows defiance of authority. All righty.
Oh,
So because we were taught differently, authority's your teacher, and authorities, this is how we're supposed to write, but you go, nope, I'm gonna do it my own way. So it's just basically that's what it shows. So for instance, it depends on where the larger letter is in the writing. So for instance, if you write like myself, Erica Mackey, I made my Erica bigger than Mackey or even my Erica bigger than Robernick, right? Because I gave myself self-reliance. I needed to do that for me. So the different sizes just puts says that you're putting more emphasis on that at that moment in time, but it depends on where in the writing. But those are sort of the two. If it's in your signature, you could take a look at, for instance, if I did Mackie, then my marriage was more important than I was, right? Again, not that that's right or wrong, right? There's nothing right or wrong in handwriting. It's just who you are.
Oh,
But if I put it in the middle of a word, then that basically shows that I'm defiant of authority. So yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So, okay, I think you covered this one too. What does it mean if my
yeah,
writing slants left or slants right?
yep, yep, yep. So if you're writing predominantly slants left, you are sort of reserved. You hold back your emotions. You don't get engaged very readily, very easily. It was actually very interesting when I worked at a gold mine. We had a left-handed person, and that's the other thing. It's not your writing changes. It doesn't change with how you write, with a pen in the mouth, with your left hand, with your right hand. He would actually turn the page funkily over. It was really weird how he wrote, but then when I looked at it, it was like really backwards, which I found really interesting. So he was extremely reserved individual, and really um, he was the mine head of security. So he did need to be reserved, right? We were stuck in the middle of nowhere and he had to make sure the gold was safe. So
Right.
he had to be himself a very reserved and not engaged person. He was security. So it was perfect for
Exactly. So
him.
yeah, so he
Yep.
can't make friends, right?
Absolutely. That was perfect for him. Yeah, no kidding. No. Do you see how it comes in benefit to it's very
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do the loops and shapes in my letters reveal?
Okay, so loops are always imagination, right? So anytime you make a loop, how wide, how tall is where the imagination is. So, for instance, if you said you do a little loop at the end of your signature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, no, a little loop at the end. Okay, but from what I saw, how you drew it in the air, it's in your abstract part of your signature or writing. So what that means is you are dreaming up new possibilities of what Marie can do with her life.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's what that means. No, that's exactly,
really
yeah,
true.
because you're connecting. I know it is. Handwriting is, like I said, is something I've stuck with for, I don't know, 30 plus years, right? So a loop in the abstract means that I would be able to. So yeah, so a loop in the abstract, meaning the upper part, it means that I can dream up new and different ways of doing things. Um, Physically in my brain. It's not the doing part, it's the dreaming. So if I wanted to bring an organization to a new level, I would really want someone who can think in the future, think outside of what's happening here in the organization today. But if I wanted to do someone who would get on the grassroots and think of how we could, like, we've run this bingo 20 years in a row, right? And we've always done it the same way, but how can you maximize that? I would get someone with a large, wider, lower loop, because they would say, well, we got to run here, we got to run there. They would just totally be able to physically change the space and the people in specific positions in order to make that more viable for them. So, yeah, so loops mean imagination,
Okay.
putting extra energy, because you're doing extra energy, you're adding extra energy into it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense. So, I have a last question. Can
Yeah.
handwriting analysis really tell if someone is lying? Because usually,
Absolutely.
usually they just put these wires and things on people
Yes.
with the lie
Yes.
detector. But your
Yes.
handwriting also shows when you're lying. We saw it
Absolutely. Yeah.
earlier in your presentation when there
That's
was a
correct.
little
Yeah.
hesitation in
Yeah.
the writing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I mean, I have never been arrested myself, but they probably still get people to write their statements out, right? And then sign their own, because that in itself, where your signature is, for instance, where the depth changes. So if I was trying to lie, there would be most certainly a difference in the pressure that I put on there, right? A slant would change. So it's something's happening, if there's like for instance, dear Erica, with that letter that Michael gave me, right? So it was the Erica was larger right? So I told, okay, so he stood up and said, no, no, this is important. He didn't know it, right? But let's say if he didn't like, or let's say if he didn't want to even associate himself with me, he would have more spaces, more space between the deer, and then it would be smaller as well. So yes, absolutely. If that answers your question there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Erica, this was like a
Yes.
pretty interesting
Yeah.
presentation. I really enjoyed it. So, and yeah, thank you for bringing this to, I
Yeah.
mean, who sits there thinking about that? You know, what I mean, this is
Yeah.
wonderful. I loved it. So, before we close this fifth edition, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah. You know what? One thought I have, one thing that I just would do like to mention is we are every day we're able to change our lives, right? And by you can go on the internet and you call myself and you can make, like, for instance, if you want to dream more, if you want to meet more people, you can change your handwriting a little bit in order to do that and live your fullest life. And handwriting analysis changed my life. I was very, very blessed. I met it at that I started discovering this when I was 18 years old. And I was able to improve my interactions with people because I was able to see where they're coming from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Well,
Thank you very much.
so that wraps it up for us tonight,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
It's 8:30. So,
Yeah.
we started maybe 5 minutes late. So we're wrapping this up, and I wanted to thank you for your wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and still
Yeah,
looking
I'm still.
forward to your posts, more posts in the
Yes.
group. And so I'd like to thank the audience who's watching this on replay. And I hope to see you at the next at the sixth edition next month, where we'll have Cynthia Bishop is as a
Awesome.
guest, and her sect. I think her area is wellness, which is always
Okay.
very interesting to talk about. So thank you, everyone, and have a good night and keep dreaming big. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank
Bye.
you.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.